the Yankees on paper have gotten worse. Again, 2 years in a row have gotten worse. The issue for them is that they're blinded, and by they, I mean the front office is blinded and by just the regular season win totals and not listening to the fans and the expectations that George had set years and years ago. And we'll get right into the Yankees now. It just is frustrating when all the needs that are so clearly yelling, they're screaming from the mountains. We need third baseman help. We need left field help. We need left-handed bats. We need contact hitters. We need clutch hitters, right? That's just not being addressed, and they're addressing and beating to death the pitching situation, which, again, I'm going to say this for the 80 millionth time on a podcast, has never been the Yankees' issue ever. So when you're looking at what they've done, sure, they add Rodon, who is awesome. I like his attitude, but, again, he's an injury risk. So you're throwing this guy all this money who has never really been able to stay on the field too long. We're going to see. You have Severino, who's an injury risk every fucking year at this point. If he gets hurt this year, he could throw his career away. It's over. And then... So the pitching rotation is obviously very, very good, but a little bit of a question mark in terms of injury, right? Then, and you have Montas go down. I mean, what Brian Cashman's track record with trades right now is at an all-time low for any GM in the history of sports. I mean, I just don't get it. It's almost like if you tried to be this bad, it would be impossible. Right, it's really difficult to be this bad at especially pitching talent over the last 2 decades, right? And so Montas, from the moment he stepped on the mound, was a complete and utter joke. I was one of those guys who got cute and was like, we definitely want him more than the kid in Cincinnati because I don't know, he's just good against he's good against Houston, all this shit. He steps on the mound, he looked like he just wasn't built for it, and clearly they traded for him with an issue with his shoulder. Shoulder kept nagging him. Then he's claimed to be healthy in the playoffs and just shits his pants on the biggest stage. And they shut him down for the whole offseason. He's going to be fully healthy. The first week of spring, they now have to shut him down with, again, a shoulder issue. He's getting surgeries out for the year. The guy's a clown. Get him off the team. I said it on another podcast. I didn't want him anywhere near a mound, and I got my wish. I did. So Yanks got a good rotation right now. Obviously, Montas was never going to do anything anyway, so it didn't make a difference. People who think he was are delusional. Good rotation, a lot of injury questions. Bullpen is obviously one of the better in baseball, but the issue is that the I guess leader of it, who would be the closer, is still up for grabs. I mean, I do not trust Clay Holmes. Maybe he was nagging an injury last year, so that's why he was a little bit iffy with the control, but you don't know that. Maybe he's just not really ready to be that high leverage closer. So you got all these guys. You lose Chad Green, again, another guy who goes to Tampa or to Toronto. Weird, but yeah, you got Johnny Loaizaga, who I think should be the closer. Or I take that back, actually. Loaizaga is a clear-cut eighth-inning guy, in my opinion. 1 inning, get him in, get him out. When he pitches more than 1 inning, he's always a disaster. So, realistically, people, this might be a little bit taboo here. This might be a little bit controversial. But I would make Wandy the actual closer. We know he's built for the big moments, and he gets the job done no matter what. And so you have Clay kind of hanging out at the 7th or 8th inning, I think, and then Wandy at 9. I think that's the way to go. And now the lineup and the just the issues to be addressed with this lineup and these offensive issues. So first of all, I do feel bad for Hicks and Donaldson because this is funny to me. It's fucking spring. Even the first week before even spring really started, they called pitchers and catchers, and then everyone else came. They're just taking regular, like, simulated game at-bats with their own guys, right? And you have, like, fucking Hulk and all these writers with their phones out, recording them, take just regular at-bats, and, like, yeah, they're trying stuff, they're mixing stuff in, and they're striking out, or whatever the case, they're swinging at one strike and missing a ball, and they're getting lit up on Twitter. They're getting video footage of them striking out in spring. It's just before even real spring games started. So you got to feel bad for them. He's getting booed his first at bat at spring. And that's what's funny about fans in general and Yankees fans specifically is, and I don't blame the fans for booing to a certain extent, but it's a fresh year, new year. They're booing Hicks' first at bat of spring, or one of his first at bats of spring, and then he hits a base hit and they start cheering. It's like it's like a fucking joke. So you have that. You have the two biggest glaring issues are the positions that they unfortunately play, which is third and left field. And so I think Brian Reynolds, that is, on Pittsburgh, wanting $180 million or whatever the fuck he wants is a lot of money for a guy who's played in a small market. But you might have to do it. You might have to trade for him and extend him. You might have to do it. And if he is who he is, he's an electric player. I think he's electric player. I think he's relatively young still. I think he's under 30. So you're looking at let's go around the horn for a second. So catcher is, I mean, as good as it's going to get unless you have an elite level catcher. So Trevino looked like he was legally blind in the playoffs in terms of hitting the ball, but one of the better framers in baseball, a great fielder. Higashioka, I actually trust his bat more than Trevino. Good, he kind of manages the staff as well decently. So I can't complain about everything. So the catchers will be the catchers. People are making rumors up that Gary Sanchez, because he's kind of a free agent right now, would the Yankees would have interest in bringing him back. No, thank you. Okay, no, thank you, El Gary. We had a good time with you. It's over. Okay, we don't need Kraken back with us. We don't need El Fat back with us. So that's that. Rizzo at first, we know what he does. Second base, I would have shipped Glaber off last year to Miami for Lopez, and that was a huge mistake, but it is what it is. I would still ship him off now, get him away, while his value is still relatively high. And by relatively, it's still, but what I mean by that is it's half of what it was 2 years ago, but it's still salvageable. Then you have shortstop, which is a complete question mark. They wanted Peraza at the beginning of spring and in the offseason to be the starting shortstop and give him a chance. And I have no problem doing that. Incredible fielder, and he's yet to prove if he could play with the bat or not, but you have no other choice, right? I don't even hate IKF, but the fans have now demonized him into being like the worst baseball player ever. There's no coming back from that. So that's over with. So you have a rookie at short, an iffy second baseman at this point, and then a third baseman who is 50 years old, who is rocking a graying, balding fucking mullet. Same mullet as I have, except I'm not graying. And so that's a joke. Left field, I guess they've been rumored to be moving Judge to left field to make room for Stanton in right. But if you don't do that, then you got left field open. I guess you have Cabrera there, which I like Oswaldo Cabrera, and I think he's just going to be a good utility man in general. And I'm also I didn't forget DJ LeMahieu. I'm assuming he'll be playing third a lot. But realistically, I don't know. I think if you shipped Glaber off, there's a lot of openings that can happen, and it all has to do with the young kids, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But then let's just round it off. Obviously, Judge and right, Bader and center, they're not going anywhere. So DH Stanton. So basically, before spring, I would have said, yeah, it's a complete and utter disaster, and it still could be. But when you see Anthony Volpe play, and you see even, I hate to say it, but Jason Dominguez play, I know he's a little too young, but specifically Volpe, tell me and give me a reason why you wouldn't bring Volpe up now. He's ready. It's eye test city. He is so ready for Major League Baseball, and whether he's going to struggle at the beginning or not is irrelevant. This is a no-brainer. I'd put DJ at third. I'd put Volpe at second, Peraza at short, and let the boys play. And then, honestly, we can see what happens mid-season with Dominguez, and I think he's going to be playing Double-A or maybe even Triple-A this year. If he's tearing up the minors, throw him in left. Throw him in left. It's over. Done. You have the talent now. Don't fucking ruin this like Cashman, like you've ruined every other player in the last 10 years that's been brought up in the farm system besides Judge, basically, on the offensive side of the ball. So that's just the main question mark is you have these young kids who could do something. We've seen Pena on Houston and all the guys that Houston bring up and even Atlanta that produce off the bat. And, I mean, these are high-level, top prospects. Let them do their thing. Let them see. Mets failed miserably because the issue that they made with Alvarez last year is they brought him up, their top prospect, one of the top prospects in baseball. They bring him up in a pennant race, which was way too much pressure. They're relying on this kid to hit. But if you're starting the season in April with a good roster that the Yankees do have, and you're expected to win 100 or maybe 95 games, no harm, no foul. He struggles a little bit. You bring him down, you bring him back up. Who cares? Let's try him out here. But the reason why I would bring Volpe and put him in second and Peraza at short and then put DJ at third is because Peraza's glove is too good to move him from short. It just is. So that's really all I got from the Yankees in that perspective. My opinion on them is I think they do win like 95 games, but that doesn't mean shit. Until they make a deal at the deadline for a legitimate left-handed bat or a switch hitter that, plays either third or left, which I'm basically describing Brian Reynolds right now, who could really prove that he can hit when it matters and everyone stays healthy, then we'll see. Because the Yankees roster is half of that of the Houston Astros. It really is. They almost got beat by the Cleveland last year, and they should have. And I don't think they made any improvements. They didn't. So